In developing countries, there is a clear relationship that we see basically every day for people who do development work. So think about an underprivileged child in a very poor country that is that suffers from diseases like malaria, and, AIDS, and the like. Clearly, that will have a major effect on the ability of that child to go to school, let alone to do well, let alone to finish his or her education. So this is actually a key mechanism by which health affects productivity, is through education. Now, you can think about the same also for high-income countries, of course, but maybe even from the other way around. So how, for example, educated people think about their health. It seems that in developed countries there is some divide between people who are educated and spend a lot of money in healthcare and prolonging life and of course feeling better and being more productive, but also a certain group of people, primarily the underprivileged. Perhaps they don't have the financial ability to do so, but they spend less attention on health provision and investing in their health. So the fact that you may not have enough education may also affect your life expectancy and your quality of life. You have all of these efforts by the Gates Foundation and a lot of other foundations that spend billions of dollars in trying to provide drugs and especially vaccines, develop new vaccines in some occasions. And this is exactly this notion of trying to get the major innovations in medicine to trickle down to low-income countries. So you have all these medicines, you have all these techniques, you have all these surgical procedures that are standard in a lot of developed countries. But unfortunately, we don't see the rate of imitation of all these things to developing countries. And partly this is an income effect. Unfortunately, you have to deal with a big problem in economics, which is to provide enough incentives for the pharmaceutical companies in the West and in Europe and in the US and in Japan to provide frontier technology, to do the innovation, to spend billions of dollars to produce new medical innovation. But at some point, the trick is to somehow find incentives to make this innovation trickle down to the poor. And this is a very difficult issue. Now, there are success stories. So, for example, if we look at the period before AIDS started, like maybe 1985 and maybe 15 or 20 years before, what we observe is a dramatic increase in these what we call generic pills in low-income countries, and actually a dramatic increase in life expectancy in the poor, which was unprecedented. We haven't seen that rate of increase in life expectancy for centuries. However, then we have the AIDS epidemic, and AIDS in combination with lots of other shocks, wars and the like, took us back. So for now this very nice trend reversed. There has been a lot of work in economics about exactly that, this complementarity between skilled and unskilled workers and physical capital and machinery and equipment. And along in a very parallel research is this complementarity between human capital and technology. So you can think of physical capital and technology more or less representing with the same thing. But the big question, and this came from kind of an observation, is whether there is more complementarity between the skilled workers and capital versus unskilled and capital. The idea here is that what we observe is that the workers who have a lot of education take advantage of all these new techniques, all of this new innovation, and therefore they have higher salaries. So on the other hand, the workers that are unskilled, they have elementary education or even high school education, cannot take advantage of these technologies, these innovations, and therefore their wage remains low. So what we observe actually in developed countries, less so in developing countries, but in developed countries, you observe this increase in what we call the skill premium. And this primarily, or one of the hypotheses, is because of this strong complementarity between the skilled guys and technology, who of course, which allows them to make more money, and in comparison to the unskilled, increases the gap. Yeah, this is another very interesting but rather disturbing phenomenon that we observe over the last 20 years. So we have been observing very nice growth, especially for lots of developing countries and many developed countries over the last 15 years or so. But at the same time, it is clear, it is not an argument now, it's a fact that we observe a rise in income inequality. And this is across all regions and across almost all countries. Notable examples are Russia and China, where inequality basically skyrocketed. So there is a lot of research in trying to understand this, and some of the research we are doing shows that trade liberalization, when you open up yourself to trade, may decrease this inequality, and financial liberalization, when you open up to banking and things like that, may actually increase inequality. But those two have very small effects. So the key thing that we find that matters is technology. So because technology, again, makes the skilled workers more productive and the unskilled workers less productive in some sense. Not less productive, but less able to take advantage of this technology, then the gap is increasing. And of course the question now is, do we have to have a policy that reduces technology? Absolutely not, because the good news out of this is that everybody is getting better. What we observe is that even the poor are getting, better well off, but is that the richer become even a little richer. So all boats rise, but some boats rise more. So we have to be very careful about this situation, because some politicians, for example, have noticed this increase in inequality, and they are thinking about policies to reduce technology. That would be devastating, because technology is the key mechanism for growth. So the idea is that the challenge is how to find ways to make the underprivileged even grow faster. And this is primarily through education, health, and so this is the policy that we'll have to go after.